Hey, Husker fans, welcome to another episode of the Husker Big Red podcast with Chris Peterson and Danny Gillette. As always, go Big Red. Good morning, Husker fans, and we are back here at the Husker Big Red YouTube channel. It's been a little while, but Chris Peterson, and joining me as always as my co-host is Danny Gillette, and we're back here for another episode of the podcast here, and we're back on the YouTube channel. So thanks for joining us again. I know it's been a while, but I had a new addition to my family last week, a new baby daughter, so been a little busy, but still been following the Huskers and been watching as much as I can, been writing some stuff at huskerbigred.com, and we'll get the podcast going back here. Danny, how you been, man? It's been a little while. I think you're still muted there, buddy.
I am still muted. That's how I've been doing. I can't even
there you go.
hit the mute button correctly. But no, I've been doing good. I been battling a stomach bug, but watching the basketball team and trying to keep busy. And I'm glad to hear your new addition to the family is doing well. I imagine you're running low on sleep, but that's a good thing in this case. So.
A little bit, yeah, just a little bit. She's been doing pretty well on the sleep, but yeah, cool. Trying to staying up at night, a lot more than I used to. So, but at any rate, it has been an exciting time for lots of reasons, but exciting time for Husker fans too. So I wanted to start with Nebraska basketball. We'll get to some recruiting information here in just a few moments. And also, if you guys haven't already, please do us the favor of hitting the subscribe button, hit the like button on these videos. Really does us a big favor if you appreciate our content. So thanks for sharing our stuff and, supporting the channel. But looking back at this game on Sunday against Minnesota, the Minnesota head coach, and I'm blanking on his name right now, but
Ben Johnson, I believe.
Yeah, Ben Johnson. I mean, he said, he had a quote about, that's basically, what a team that's obsessed looks like, or I can't remember if that's the word that he used, but, it was something along those lines. But, and you can see it in this Nebraska basketball team. I mean, over these last, the team possessed, that's the word that he used. And, you could see it with this team over the last 4 games. They've won them all by double digits. They've, moved into the top, way up in the Ken Palm ranking. I mean, John Beilein, I don't know if you guys were watching the post-game show the other night, but John Beilein was absolutely gushing about this team. He compared it to his 2018 Michigan team, which went all the way to the national championship game. And they've got a lot of great pieces. We've talked about it before. I mean, they can, if you want to go big, they can go big. If you want to go small, they can go small. And the way, I guess the thing that's, turned the corner, that's changed my perception of this team, is the way that they've bought in defensively. This new lineup, I questioned it, but it has been, but the way that it's, come together defensively with the length and everything, it's been impressive to watch. And this team isn't just gonna, isn't just sneaking into the tournament. I mean, they're dangerous. And I lead it off here saying they're off the bubble. I just mean according to the bracket projections, because for a long time they've been sitting there in that one of those teams to get the last double bye. They aren't anymore. Joe Lenardi of ESPN has moved them up. He hasn't released the full bracketology yet. He just kind of does these teaser ones, but they've definitely moved themselves, I think, into that 8-9 seed range. And they even got votes in the top 25 poll yesterday.
Yeah, and it's been really kind of fun to watch how everybody accepts their role. I mean, take a guy like Jamarcus Lawrence, for example. He was a starter last season, looked to be, kind of the next, key part of this program. He struggled a little bit. Coach Hoiberg moved him to the bench. He could have sulked. He could have been upset. He could have, kind of gave up in terms of effort, but he hasn't. He's been an absolute spark off the bench. He's accepted his role. And, I was a little kind of curious to see how the Juan Gary, Jamarcus Lawrence flip would work in terms of the lineup as well. And quite honestly, it's worked beautifully. And I think Gary, a healthy Gary at that, has been, one of the biggest X factors for this team. And, it's really good to see him healthy this year, obviously, and be able to contribute, because he's been able to put together some massive games. And Sunday was no different. I thought he really helped, kind of carry and stabilize the offense and just give the offense another, piece of, depth piece, another person who could score the basketball. And, another thing, and then I'll toss it over to you, is we were kind of worried about, losing Derek Walker's production and, the type of scoring that he brought inside. And, the type of toughness inside. And Rink Mast has filled that, gap beautifully. He may not be as physical as Derek Walker at times, but he still brings that inside scoring. He can kind of control the offense. You heard them talk maybe a little bit on the post-game show about how they kind of run their offense through Rink Mast. So he's been sort of like Walker in the sense that he can be reliable when you need him to score, but he also, kind of can bring that post game as well. And, I think Mast and Gary in particular have really, really stepped up along with the usual suspects like Tominaga and, guys like that. So it's been really interesting to see how this team has managed to get scoring production, but they're not one dimensional. Anybody can score from anywhere. Mast on the inside, Tominaga mostly on the outside. You got Lawrence driving to the basket. There's just so many ways this team can attack you, and that just speaks to the depth that the program has.
Yeah, what's interesting about Rink Mast is I don't know that anybody would have thought that he'd be Nebraska's leader in assists, but he is right now.
No, I didn't.
He's got 3 assists per game, almost 13 points, 7.8 rebounds. He's shooting 82% from the free throw line. And you look at, man, like one reason this team, I feel good about this team is you look at their free throw shooting. Just K-Say shoots 90%, rank 82. Bryce Williams, 84. Gary's a little low at 65, but CJ Wilcher, 93%. Even Josiah Leak, 65%. So, I mean, in these postseason games when you need to make free throws, I mean, Nebraska does that pretty well. And yeah, Juwan Gary, I mean, even though his numbers, he averages 12 points a game, but I think he's Nebraska's most important player.
Yep.
And I don't really think it's that close because he just does so much offensively and defensively. I mean, he's such an impact player on both ends of the floor. We saw it like against Kansas State when he got all those all those offensive rebounds. He hit 4 3-pointers the other night. He's more than an X factor for this team. I think he's the guy that drives the train, in my opinion. And I mean, there's other guys there. I mean, Rink Mast is the conductor as well. And I mean, everybody has their role though, and that's what I love about this team. Is like you said. I mean, you look at the guys coming off the bench. They got Sam Hoiberg, who is playing lights out, man. Every time he's out there, his defense is spectacular. He just makes plays. He just makes winning plays.
Yep.
And Jamarcus Lawrence, yeah, his offense is now starting to get to where his defense has been. And I mean, when he's making 3-point shots, like that guy is a very good Big Ten player. CJ's got under a little bit of a cold spell, but I think that he's going to get going again. But I mean, that's 3 quality players that you can bring off the bench. And what's nice is, I mean, those are all guard/wings, but that's because Nebraska's got 3 guys in the starting lineup that are 6'9" or taller, so they can move guys around. They can take Bryce Williams and they can play him at the 2, the 3, or the 4.
Also been really excellent.
Yeah, and it's like, man, he averages almost 2.7 assists per game, and so it's like him and Gary can play basically anywhere 2 through 4, and then you have a Leak and Mast who can play the 4 and the 5, and so it's just like they've got a lot of really. I mean, even CJ Wilcher can play some 4 if he needs to in this era of college basketball, and so it's like Fred just has so many pieces to work with, and it's been a spectacular job, and you know what, Trev Alberts needs to get Fred Hoiberg signed up to a long-term contract very soon because the trajectory of this program is only going up. And I mean, I'm not saying that everybody's going to come back, but you look at this roster, and with everything, I know it's different with the COVID stuff, but the only seniors on this roster right now are K-Say Tominaga and Josiah Leak and Jaron Coleman, who basically doesn't play. So you could have a very, when you think about the recruiting classes coming back, if they can get all these guys back, which I believe that they can, because I don't. As good as all these guys are, I don't know that anybody's like a first-round pick. And if they're not that high of a pick, you can usually get them back with a strong NIL deal, which is how I think Nebraska got Rink Mast and all these guys. So I think this run isn't just going to be a one-year thing. There's a very good chance that most of these pieces could be back next year.
And the coaching staff has shown, especially for the last 2 seasons now, an ability to recognize and hit on talent in the transfer portal. You got a Leak, you got Mast. You got, Bryce Williams. You have, I believe, was Tominaga a transfer portal addition last year, or did he just come to the program?
He was a high school recruit, I believe.
Okay, he was a high school recruit. But
yeah, he was the guy that basically a recruit. I meant he was an international type guy.
Yep.
But yeah, he was signed by Fred.
You look at Bryce Williams, and you look at Mast, and you look at a Leak, and you look at, somebody, like even a Derek Walker type from way back when, a Sam Greasel type from, last season. Fred has shown that he can hit on the transfer portal recruits, transfer portal targets. And, I think especially in today's day and age, he's hit at a fairly high rate. And so even if some of these key contributors leave, I have confidence that Fred will be able, and the coaching staff will be able to land, transfer portal players that will fit the identity of this team, because they've spent the last 2 seasons in particular building one, and now they know the formula to win in the Big Ten. So, I mean, given how much, success these transfer portal players have had, I don't have any doubt as to the fact that this coaching staff will be able to get some more contributors with some of the departures on this roster.
Yeah, plus you have Jakowski from Wisconsin, who I think is a guy that can contribute right away.
Really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that he'll, hopefully kind of take into, not right away, but eventually take over that kind of Keisei Tominaga role of that scorer, sharp, kind of your primary scorer by his sophomore season. Because that's what I'm saying. He's the kind of guy that, in 2 or 3 years, I think could be an NBA player. And so if you're in Nebraska, if you can get that guy to be, that's like the golden goose in college basketball right now. It's not the one and done, because those guys just aren't that. They're not. I mean, yes, like if you get a Zion Williamson or whatever, but they don't always make that impact right away. So like getting, especially those guys that are like in the 10 to 30 range, those 5 stars, they're not like the end all be all of college basketball. Just ask the Michigan Wolverines. But if you get those guys that are like 60 to 100 and you can develop them into NBA level prospects, that's the golden ticket, because you get them for 2 or 3 years as opposed to the one and done guy who plays his best basketball in the NBA. And we saw that here. I'm blanking on the guy's name.
Bryce McGowan's?
Yeah, Bryce McGowan's. Yeah. Like if Bryce McGowan's his second year, he would have been, spectacular. And he was good his first year, but just, there was, defense and all those other things. It takes a long time to adjust to college basketball. But at any rate, there's a lot to like about this team. And yes, there's still, road games at Ohio State and Michigan, which aren't going to be easy. But right now they're sitting at 10-7 in the Big Ten, and they're right in the mix actually for a double bye. So it's not even, Wisconsin's at 10-6, Northwestern's at 10-6, Nebraska's at 10-7. So they're tied in the win column. So they do need those teams to get losses. They split with Northwestern and Wisconsin, so I'm not sure exactly like how the tiebreaker would fall out there, but it's very possible that they get the double bye. And then if you talk about the women's basketball team, which got another victory, they're 11-6. They are one. Basically, their magic number for the double bye is 1. So they either need 1 victory or a loss by Michigan State, and they get a double bye. So in terms of like Nebraska basketball, men and women, this could be the best season we've ever seen as Husker fans.
Yeah, and you take a look and you think about what that does for recruiting as well. I mean, now you have a vision to sell for both programs. You can point to recent success, not just past success. And you can say, here's where you fit, here's why we want you, here's what we've done, where we think you can make an impact over the last couple seasons. So, I think there's a plan in place for both programs, and the foundation is kind of being built. Players are buying into the foundation. And, I think some deep March runs and even, a deep Big Ten tournament run would do wonders for recruiting. Because now, recruits want to be like, what have you done for the program lately? Why should I come here? I mean, that's a pretty solid resume builder for both programs, should they be able to make a deep tournament and, hopefully NCAA tournament as well as Big Ten tournament run.
Yeah, it would be something special to see, this team finally get that first ever NCAA tournament win, but still got to get there. Still 3 games to go.
I think this team can do it. I'm not.
I think so too.
I think so too. Yeah.
People are, I don't want to get put the cart before the horse, but I mean, this isn't a team like especially if they can win, these next 3 games, like they could get up to a number 7 seed, and that's a huge difference. So if they could just keep winning, that's why. I mean, I do think that barring a total collapse, they are going to make the tournament, but these next 3 games in terms of seeding, very important, in trying to give yourself a chance maybe to get a win, and who knows, maybe get beyond the first weekend of the tournament. I don't think it's impossible. This team has the pieces to do it. So At this rate, let's switch over to football. A lot of stuff going on with recruiting, a lot of offers. Not, we'll be coming up with visits soon. There's going to be the dead period will be ending. I think I want to say March 3rd, maybe March 1st, somewhere early March. So that's when you'll see, some of these guys start taking visits and stuff. Nebraska did offer over like 10 players this weekend.
Yeah.
Going back to Friday, one of them, Danny, you wrote about it at HuskerBigRed.com. The 5-star offensive tackle, David Sanders, out of Providence Day in Charlotte, 6'5", 275 pounds, elite athlete. He's ranked number 1 among offensive tackles in the 24/7 composite rankings, number 2 overall. Dylan Rhule doing his bit to, get some recruiting going, and hopefully they can get him on campus. Maybe, Brandon Baker, part 2, but this time maybe it will work out for the Huskers. What are your thoughts about this offer by Nebraska? It's kind of late, though.
It is kind of late, but having Rhule certainly makes it a little bit of an easier sell. And it's not like they need offensive linemen per se. Like, it's a position where, it's like, oh, we got to get one or else we're screwed. We're kind of past that point now. Now we're just recruiting for the future and, kind of wanting to build that offensive line out. And, I think it's a really interesting offer because I would rather us miss than not try at all. Because if we didn't try at all, we would have never gotten Dylan Rhule. We probably would have never gotten Danny Kaelin. And, even when Malachi Coleman back then started taking visits, we still kept the pedal to the metal and wanted him focused on Nebraska, and we were able to land him. So, the fact that they're still trying to, get elite talent to commit to the program with, an elite quarterback in the fold now makes it a lot easier. And, I think Dylan Rhule may be the biggest recruiter in this program.
I definitely think he's going to be a nice selling point, playing for a 5-star quarterback, a guy that, we all think is going to be a future first-round draft pick, and a guy that's going to bring along hopefully a great era of success. So it will be interesting with David Sanders. Like I wrote on my roundup the other day, if Nebraska, is going to be serious here, they got to get him on campus. So that's the next step. They also offered DJ Pickett, a 5-star safety out of Miami, or Tampa, Miami, which I'm not sure which one actually, but he's 7th ranked overall in this class, like 6'2", 205 pounds, a really dynamic defensive back. So I'm not sure if that's going to go anywhere. He's already got 4 visits scheduled. I think Georgia, Miami, Oregon, and another big school, maybe Florida State. But we'll see if Nebraska can get either of those guys on campus. But they are getting a lot of, big-time visitors, I would say. Another guy that's, set up a visit is Emmanuel Choice, a 4-star wide receiver. That was just announced yesterday. Mason Garcia, 4-star offensive lineman. They've got Chase Lofton coming in for an unofficial visit. So, they've got a lot of, quality guys coming here, and they just have to, keep building that process going forward. But I like what they're at right now in terms of the 2025 class. And some of these offers have been, somewhat intriguing. Even they offered a kid from Billings, Montana, Matt Ludwig. And I can tell you, I've seen this kid play 3 times. I saw him play 3 times as a sophomore, and he is a better prospect than Quinn Clark by far. Like, I have no doubt in my mind about that. He's a sophomore, and it was clear in the games that he played, he was clearly the best player on the field for either team. And his team didn't win any of the games that I saw. He got hurt in actually a playoff game. He got hurt, so he missed like the entire second half. But this guy's a matchup nightmare, and it's going to be really interesting to see how that recruitment plays out. But I'm excited that Nebraska is, making those offers, because I think he's a good under the radar prospect. Texas Tech has offered already, and it's good to get in early. And this is be a good kid from Montana to get. There's not that many from Montana that you want, but Matt Ludwig's one of them, I believe.
Although Nebraska's got a punter from Montana, they have Quinn Clark, and now they're offering Ludwig. So maybe they found a secret state in Montana that they've kind of been able to tap into. But it'll be interesting. Yeah.
It was Samori Toure, also from Montana. Yep. Darian White transferred to the women's basketball team from Montana State. So it is kind of there are players going there from Montana. It's kind of interesting.
And I'll be very interested. You mentioned DJ Pickett. He's the brother of Booker Pickett, who's currently committed to Miami. So I'll be very interested in that commitment and see if DJ goes with his brother or if he elects to go somewhere else. But Nebraska's been able to hit on Florida recently. So I'll be very interested on how that recruitment kind of comes about. And yeah, they've been busy on the recruiting show. A lot of offers, which I love to see. They're never resting. They're never, just sitting on their hands doing nothing. They're always out recruiting and always trying to make the program better. And, I think the upcoming visit weekend, like last year, may not lead to a lot of commitments, but it will give some recruits a chance to really find out what the program is. And again, kind of like the basketball team, lay the foundation and kind of build for the 2025 class. And let's be honest here, they've already done a very good job in state in 2025. And it's good that they have that head start, because now they can kind of expand a little bit after locking down, some of the Nebraska's best high school recruits.
Yeah, they still, Christian Jones, Lofton is out there, Jackson Carpenter, Pierce Newberry. They're in strong position with all four of those guys. So
I feel good about Lofton. I don't know about Christian Jones, but I feel good about Lofton.
Well, it'll be interesting. Lofton doesn't have any projections yet. Christian Jones does, so we'll see. But yeah, those are the four guys that I would be paying attention to the most as in-state recruits, and I think Nebraska's at least, I would say, in the top 2 or 3 for all of them. So, in very strong positions. And then I wanted to just close up with the slam dunk competition. I thought this was another Matt Rhule special. I just thought, it's a fun thing to get the players involved and to just add more camaraderie. But Jeremiah Charles came up and ended up, winning it. He dunked over Matt Rhule, went between his legs. But I was really impressed with him and Thomas Fedoni, all the guys really. But seeing those two guys kind of jump out of the gym really got me excited about, Fedoni this year. And I'm just excited about Jeremiah Charles' future as a defensive back. Like, holy cow, that guy can run and jump, and he can do anything you want as an athlete.
He was a really good basketball player in high school too, so that comes as no surprise. But I was impressed with the air that Kai Wallen got. I mean, Kai Wallen was able to get up, and you have to wonder if he'll be jumping over offensive linemen on the field in the fall. But I just thought it was really cool. Again, it's a case where Matt Rhule is involving himself in the school community. He's showing up publicly at these events, supporting the team, having fun with the players. It's not always business, and it's not always recruiting. He makes himself a very accessible coach. I mean, I saw a tweet the other day where even some Iowa fans were liking Rhule, and Rhule spoke highly of Iowa fans, and it's hard not to like Matt Rhule. I mean, say what you want about him on the field last year or whatever, but it's not for his lack of trying, that's for sure. And I think that's, honestly a big difference between him and the other regime is, he's always trying, whether it's in public at these events or on the field. You can tell that he really cares about everything he does, from, standing on court at the dunk contest to coaching on the field.
Yeah, and I think, last year they did a lot of good things. They just had to get the quarterback, and I think that shows again, how important that position is in this game. If you don't have a quarterback in college or the NFL, even high school, if you don't have a quality quarterback, you're not going to win that much. Yeah. You don't have to have an MVP, Pro Bowl, whatever, but you have to have a guy that can, hang on to the football and just produce points. Like Jim Harbaugh likes to use that. They don't use this statistic much in football, but he always talked about it as points per possession. How many points does your quarterback get every possession? And so he's talking about, he talked about that a lot with Cade McNamara. He didn't always put up touchdowns, but he got points on most of his possessions, and that's what Nebraska needs. But the thing is that Dylan Raiola he's not that kind of quarterback. He can be that and much, much, much more. So that's why I'm really excited about this season. I think that's why all the national media is really excited about this season. There's a lot of great pieces in the trenches, and I just love that, Matt Rhule just gets the buy-in of these players. And I was looking somewhere too, they talked about a list. It was a list of teams that, would have playoff berths, if the 12-team playoff was, a thing going back to like 2014. and Baylor would be in there 3 times, and a couple of those are like Matt Rhule, so Matt Rhule has coached teams into that level before. He can do it again here at Nebraska, and I for one can't wait for this 2024 season to basically get started. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait for spring ball, and I just can't wait to see Dylan Raiola like in the Scarlet and Cream. It's going to be so awesome.
Spring practices are coming up soon, right? Relatively soon.
Yeah, because the spring game is April 27th. Is that right?
Yeah, that's a little late. I would rather it be earlier. But,
yeah, I would say in the next few weeks. I will have to check because I know Michigan, their spring game is the 20th, and I think they're starting practice like March 18th. So sometime this month. I don't believe we've seen an official date for the start of practice, but my guess would be around the 20th or so. They'll probably get things going.
So soon.
So very soon, guys. So we'll be back. We'll do another episode. Shoot, I'm trying to think what day it is now. Maybe we'll do one maybe Thursday, but probably, and then get our stream back going this weekend. We'll try to get our schedule back that we had before. Had to take some time off here for the new baby, the new Husker fan in my life. So I've already been teaching her Go Big Red and all that stuff. So got another faithful to join us here.
Yeah, but I just hope she's ready for the heartbreak, because there's going to be some, I think, and I'll tell you, if she was around in the 2021 season, I don't know if she'd still be a Husker fan.
Yeah, who knows? But the diehards, it's unconditional love, man.
No Iowa. Just teach her no Iowa, and we'll be a step in the right direction already.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she already hates Iowa, so that was her birth, and Colorado and Oklahoma. But they're not in our conference anymore, so whatever.
Well, hey, Colorado this season's going to be an interesting one. I'll tell you that.
That will be very fun. I would love to beat the crap out of Deion Sanders and those guys. I would love it.
It's going to be quite the show, because honestly, I mean, as much as I hate them, I love watching, Shedeur play, and his mobility as a quarterback. He has tons of tools, so I'm excited to watch that one. Had we had a competent quarterback last year, we probably would have won last year too. But I mean, Dylan Raiola and Shedeur Sanders, sign me up. That's going to be a fun one.
That will be a fun one. So, So make sure you guys, thanks for joining this episode. Make sure you guys hit the like button, hit subscribe. And as always, go Big Red.
Go Big Red.